well,
Can do. We'll ask them.
The connection from Waimate.
Leeann, please.
apparently not.
Kia ora everyone. I'm Leeann Watson from Business Canterbury, and this is Tate Dench, formerly known as the Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce, as some of you will recall. Right, the Christchurch City Council plays an important role as an enabler of economic activity and growth in our city and region. And right now, we are in a golden decade. We have a golden decade ahead of us. Business Canterbury is concerned about the rates hump outlined in the plan, highlighting the need for the council to maintain affordability while managing cost pressures. It is the responsibility of the council to control costs and make operating improvements to reduce those costs without compromising the services quality. Something that all businesses are having to do every day right now, given the current economic environment. There are very few businesses that would be comfortable, nor would get away with, increasing their prices by 14% right now. It should be obvious, but cutting costs is not the same thing as cutting services. Like businesses, the focus for the council should be on improving internal efficiencies, removing bureaucracy, and ensuring that staffing levels and the capability are aligned with efficiently delivering at those core services. And also driving Christchurch forward into the 2030s, not concentrating the conversation on cutting services alone. There's also a need for greater clarity and transparency on the outcomes we are getting for the money that you are spending. Few targets, measures or strategies in the document poorly inform ratepayers about the level of service and the ambition required to grow. For example, we might expect that over a measure of council investment, activity could be that GDP per capita grows by 5% per year, while house prices stay or are below 10% of the national median house price, and the average commute time in Christchurch remains 20 minutes, and so on. In its current form, there are only very vague targets like being a thriving, prosperous city, but no real detail on how you plan on doing that, and more importantly, how you plan on measuring and monitoring the progress and the success. These generic, vague goals simply would not work for businesses, and we're really struggling to understand how they're going to work for the council. Finally, on ambition, we understand that the long-term plan process is highly mandated, but the lack of ambition in the long-term thinking in the draft LTP, particularly when considering sustainable economic growth, is concerning to us. We pointed out in our submission areas where embedding sustainable economic growth into various strategies, goals and plans could start to shape the thinking and action that will enable the council to play its role in the city's growth and in our future. And part of the council's ability to enable growth, of course, comes through its stewardship of the local regulatory environment. In a recent survey, only 11% of businesses told us that the council supports and enables them well. If we want to meet our goals as a city to be the best place to live, to work, to play and to invest, businesses need to have the confidence and the certainty that local government is transparent in its decision-making processes and consistent in their policies and responsive and supportive of business needs. There are two specific points I want to leave you with. The first is the additional funding for major events bids. This is a must. If we want to take advantage of Te Kaha and Parakuri coming online and compete against Auckland and Wellington, who spend $5 to $6 million per year, the economic and social and the impact benefits are very clear, with the return on investment of 11 to 1 for major events and increasing to 35 to 1 for business events. It's definitely a yes from Business Canterbury. Next up is the strategic assets and financial strategy. You probably didn't think that I was going to let you away with that one. The council must look at the mandate for CCHL again and properly, and with open minds to drive gains and shareholder value for the council and allowing the subsidiary companies to respond to demand and invest in growth. The decision that was made earlier in the year is short-sighted and irresponsible given the challenging environment that the council now finds itself in. So that decision was definitely a no from Business Canterbury. Thank you.
Okay, time for one. Sam, please.
Hey, thanks, Leeann and Tate, for that. I always enjoy reading your submissions. Can you just talk through or elaborate a bit more on that climate fund? And I was interested in your comments around that. So you're supportive of it, but not us distributing it? Or can you just talk through what you're thinking there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
There are some caveats, and I'll let Tate respond to that because it is something that is really important for us.
Yeah, so the main point was that we support the prospect of one, not the creation of one. I think there's a lot more that we need to think through first. So the first, as we outlined in our submission, was that there needs to be a bit more clarity on the purpose of what it might be. So if we think about a climate resilience fund, does that include earthquakes or any other sort of activity? We also want to make sure, similar to Leeann's point before about CCHL, that any decisions about how that fund may or may not be spent does not land with councillors. It needs to be independent, and that any future fund should specifically list businesses and freight corridors as something they're trying to protect.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
to the trouble.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Leeann, please.